Hi everyone, in this video I will be reading through 2 chapters of Persepolis, starting with the bicycle. So chapter 2, the bicycle. My faith was not unshakable. The year of the revolution I had to take action, so I put my prophetic destiny aside for a while. I am Fidel. Today my name is Che Guevara, and I want to be Trotsky. We demonstrated in the garden of our house. Down with the king, down with the king. The revolution is like a bicycle. When the wheels don't turn, it falls. Well spoken. And so went the revolution in my country. So Margie decides that she's not going to worry about being a prophet for now. She wants to focus on protesting like her parents are. And she says here the revolution is like a bicycle. When the wheels don't turn, it falls. And so we can see in this picture here, there's loads of people on this bicycle, but nobody actually has their feet on the pedals here. So the bicycle can't move forward because no one's taking charge and pedaling, so it's just gonna fall over. So the revolution isn't working because no one is really taking control and moving it forward. After a long sleep of 2,500 years, the revolution has finally awakened the people. 2,500 years of tyranny and submission, my father said. First our own emperors, then the Arab invasion from the west, followed by the Mongolian invasion from the east, and finally modern imperialism. So this is like in the introduction of the book when she talks about all of the people that have come and invaded Iran. To enlighten me, they bought books. I knew everything about the children of Palestine, about Fidel Castro, about the young Vietnamese killed by the Americans, about the revolutionaries of my country. But my favorite was a comic book entitled Dialectic Materialism. In my book, you could see Marx and Descartes. The material world doesn't exist. It's only a reflection of our own imagination, says you. So now we're looking at her comic book, Dialectic Materialism. And this is Marx and this is Descartes, some famous philosophers. You mean that even though you see the stone in my hand, it doesn't exist since it's only in your imagination? Exactly. Ouch, what are you doing, Carl? You broke my skull. It was funny to see how much Marx and God looked like each other, though Marx's hair was a bit curlier. Despite everything, God came to see me from time to time. So you don't want to be a prophet anymore? Let's talk about something else. You think I look like Marx? I told you to talk about something else. Tomorrow, the weather is going to be nice, he says. It will be 75 degrees in the shade. Shh, wait a second. She overhears her parents talking. They burned down the Rex Cinema tonight. Oh my God. The doors had been locked from the outside a few minutes before the fire. The police were there. They forbade people to rescue those locked inside. Then they attacked them. So in this movie theater, somebody locked the doors from the outside and then set it on fire. And the police were there when this happened, but they didn't allow any of these people to go in and help those that were inside. The firemen didn't arrive until 40 minutes later. The BBC said there were 400 victims. The Shah said that a group of religious fanatics perpetrated the massacre, but the people knew that it was the Shah's fault. So the Shah tried to blame it on these religious fanatics and say, oh no, they're the ones that killed all these people in the Rex Cinema. But the people know that the Shah is the one who actually killed them. So their leader killed the 400 people that were trapped inside this movie theater. Tomorrow there will be another demonstration. Obviously, we can't let things like that happen. And Margie says, I want to go too. Don't you think I look like Che Guevara? Maybe I'll be even better as Fidel Castro. Where are you? Are you there? So she's envisioning herself as all of these revolutionary people, and then God disappears. And so she goes and she knocks on her parents' door and she says, I want to come with you tomorrow. Where? To demonstrate on the street. I am sick and tired of doing it in the garden. It is very dangerous. They shoot people. For a revolution to succeed, the entire population must support it. You can participate later on. Sure, when it's all over. Mom, please? Oh no. So her parents do not want her to go to these demonstrations because they're very dangerous. Come on, you're going to bed now. Please. God, where are you? That night, he didn't come. So Margie wants to go protest with her parents, but they won't let her because it's dangerous, and now God isn't visiting her anymore. All right, chapter 3, the water cell. My parents demonstrated every day. Down with the king. Things started to degenerate. The army shot at them, and they threw stones at the army. After marching and throwing stones all day, by evening they had aches all over, even in their heads. Hey, Mom, Dad, let's play Monopoly. Darling, we are tired. Now is not the right time. Monopoly, I can't believe it, haha. It's never the right time. So her parents are busy protesting all day, and then when they come home, they don't have a lot of time for Margie because they're exhausted. As for me, I love the king. He was chosen by God. Who told you that? My teacher and God himself. Come, sit on my lap. I'll try to explain it to you. Good, explain everything. I'm going to bed. And Margie's dad tells her God did not choose the king. And she says, oh, he did so. It's written on the first page of my school book. That's what they say. So Margie was told by her teacher that God chose the king, but her dad tells her, no, that's not really true. And then he says, the truth is that 50 years ago, the father of the Shah, who was a soldier, organized a putsch to overthrow the emperor and install a republic. If it's God's will, we will reach the capital in 19 days. God is with us, Reza. God is with us. And even if he isn't, who can stop us? What can stop us, this guy thinks. At the time, the Republican ideal was popular in the region, but everybody interpreted it in his own way. Gandhi in India, the Hindus and the Muslims must make peace to overthrow the British. Ataturk in Turkey, we the Turks are secular Westerners. For proof, look at my green eyes. So the father of the Shah wanted to do the same. He wasn't educated like Gandhi, who was a lawyer, nor was he a leader of men like Ataturk, who was a general. He was an illiterate, low-ranking officer. So the Shah, Reza Shah, was not anything special. He couldn't read, and he wasn't really high in the army like Ataturk, who was a general. A blessing for the very influential British, who soon learned of his projects. The country is rich, and the Bolsheviks are near. What was that soldier's name again? Reza. We should go meet him. Immediately. Persia is full of oil. So the British thought that it was a blessing that this person who was illiterate and low-ranking wanted to take over because they knew that they would be able to influence and control someone like this. So they go to him and they say, well, Reza, shining your boots? When you are emperor, your Secretary of State will shine them for you. Emperor? Me? But of course, my friend, it's much better than being president. But there is already an emperor. I want to create a republic. The religious leaders are against it, and they're right. A vast country like yours needs a holy symbol. You will have everything, power, shoe shiners, and even more. Anything you want in cash. What do I have to do? Nothing. You just give us the oil and we'll take care of the rest. So the British is really who put the Shah in power. They told him that he can be emperor, and then they made it happen. And that's how he became king, and naturally his son succeeded him. God has nothing whatsoever to do with this story. Maybe God helped them nevertheless. I think you are old enough to understand certain things you should know. I should know what? The emperor that was overthrown was Grandpa's father. My grandpa? Grandpa was a prince? Yes, among others, but that's not the question. What do you mean that's not the question? My grandpa was a prince. So this is really important. We find out here that the Shah overthrew an emperor, and that emperor was Margie's great-grandfather. So Margie's grandpa was a prince when his father was the emperor. So the Shah took power from her family. At the time, your grandpa was a young man, and the father of the Shah confiscated everything he owned. Don't forget the tiles in the bathroom. Go right ahead, don't let anything stop you. And since his entourage was uneducated, your grandpa was named Prime Minister. As of today, you are my Prime Minister. You're pleased, aren't you? You have diplomas, they have to be put to use. Thanks. He had studied in Europe. He was a very cultivated man. He had even read Marx. The workers, how can he believe the rabble can rule? Once he was sidetracked from his princely destiny, he began to meet intellectuals. The Bolsheviks make miracles. The Emperor of Persia is not Reza Shah, but the King of England. When I was prince, all of this seemed so distant. That is really the problem of our country. Only a prince can allow himself to have a conscience. So he became a communist. It disgusts me that people are condemned to a bleak future by their social class. Long live Lenin. So the Shah comes in and he makes Margie's grandpa his prime minister because Margie's grandpa has education. He has gone to school before. And all of the Shah's people are not educated, so they wouldn't do well as the prime minister. So he was often sent to prison. Margie's grandpa was sent to prison because he became a communist. Sometimes they put him in a cell filled with water for hours. Margie's mom says, I remember when I was a small girl, every time there was a knock on the door, I thought they were coming to take my father to prison. And one time out of two, it was really true. Hello, is your mother there? No, why? Is your father home? No. Your grandma and I went to visit him. Daddy, can I ride on your back? Stop it, he's tired. Of course you can. The poor man. Prison had destroyed his health. He had rheumatism. All his life he was in pain. Come on, that time has passed. Do you want to play Monopoly? I want to take a bath. We can play after your bath if you want to. No, I want to take a really long bath. That night, I stayed a very long time in the bath. I wanted to know what it felt like to be in a cell filled with water. What are you doing? God asks. My hands were wrinkled when I came out, like Grandpa's. So Margie wants to understand what it was like for her father to be in a cell filled with water for hours. So she finds out that he went through this horrible thing, and to try and understand it, she sits in the bath for hours and hours.